Hello, everyone. I'm Kimberly Adams, and welcome back to Make Me Smart, where none of us is as smart as all of us, and we try to make the day make sense. Thank you for joining us while we are doing our regular happy hour. Thanks for whether you're on the YouTube live stream or listening later on the podcast. We really appreciate you hanging out with us on a Friday afternoon or evening, depending on where you are. This is Economics on Tap, and it is the last Friday was Black Friday, and so because it was Black Friday, we wanted to bring in our retail expert because it was a huge week for retailers in the United States. So here for our holiday shopping check-in is Marketplace correspondent Kristin Schwab. Welcome back, Kristin.
Hey, Kimberly.
Before we get to some retail news, because I know that is your area of expertise, let's get to some drinks. What you got?
Okay, so I brought a paper plane, which
Ooh.
usually isn't a coupe glass, but I brought it in this glass that you gifted me because it felt very appropriate. Kimberly,
Aww.
Kimberly gave this to me and my husband when we got married this summer, which was very nice. Yeah, usually it's a
Aww.
coupe drink. This is a slushy version of a paper plane, so it's Amaro, Aperol. What am I? Bourbon and lemon juice. And the
Yes.
lemon juice makes it so that you can put it in the freezer and it just freezes like a little bit into a slushy. It's a Smitten
Oh,
Kitchen
nice.
recipe for anybody who wants to look it up. And it has been in my freezer waiting for me for like a month. So it can hang out there for important times like this.
I love that. That's a really good idea to sort of batch make your cocktails so they're ready to go. No, I don't need to do that actually. That's probably a terrible idea
Ye-
for me.
Could be dangerous.
Um, I got some pomegranates from the store earlier this week, and so I decided to smush up some of the seeds, and I made myself a pomegranate margarita. I know
Ooh.
it's a very summery drink, but I felt like, hey, I've got pomegranates and margarita ingredients, so that's what I've got with my little orange liqueur and tequila blanco in there. So, cheers, Kristen.
Cheers. I'm slushy, so we're both kind of summer. We were in the same.
Yeah, yeah. I'm having a little bit of difficulty with my YouTube chat, but let me see if I can get anybody's drinks out of there. Let's see, what do we have? Bum, bum, bum. All right, well, I can't see that. So in the meantime, I'm going to look at the Discord, and I see that people have found your slushy paper plane. Steve is having a Founders All Day IPA. And then what else do we have? Ooh, this looks like a Xanadu Shiraz that Bob is drinking. And Randa is drinking hot cider, trying to warm
Ooh.
up. But is there bourbon in it? That's the real question.
Opposite of pomegranate and slushies. I like it though.
Yes, yes. And then we've got Mighty Unlikely with the Cab Merlot blend. And yeah, that's a good variety of drinks we've got going on there. But Kristen, so let's talk about the holiday shopping week, heading into Black Friday and Cyber Monday before the big shopping season kicked off. How are retailers feeling?
They were feeling a little nervous, uh, not super confident about the season that was ahead. And that's because the overall picture was pretty confusing. Consumers have been feeling pretty terrible by historical standards lately, both in their confidence in the current economy, their confidence in the economy that is to come. They also signaled in a lot
Hmm.
of different ways that they were planning on reining back on spending for this holiday season, that they're really going to try to budget and keep things down. We also got a September, albeit, delayed because of the government
Very
shutdown,
late.
so kind of old data, but a September retail sales report that was pretty meh. It wasn't terrible, but it wasn't really encouraging. And then,
No, your
on the
story said it was blah.
it was blah. I went with the blah theme in the story because that's what people kept telling me. And then, on the flip side, we have this data from the National Retail Federation, which is obviously wants a very good holiday season. Keep that in mind. But, they were
Hmm.
saying that this would be the highest spending season that we've ever seen. So you kind of see these mixed signals, and it's a little hard to predict what's going to happen when you have data points pointing in all different directions.
Yeah, I mean, we did have high expectations. It always trips me up, and I know you and I have talked about this before. Is it a high spend because stuff is more expensive or because people are buying more stuff, you know? But like you said, expectations were kind of all over the place heading into the holidays. We've got some data now in terms of how it actually went. What are some of the early readouts?
Yeah, well, so the spending increase year over year is higher than inflation. So that does tell us something,
Hmm.
right?
Okay.
From Adobe Analytics, we were told that spending between November 1st and December 2nd was up over 7% year over year. That is higher than what they predicted. So, I guess the National Retail Federation is who was kind of right here. And so we're on
Hmm.
track for it to be a bigger than ever spending season. Part of that is because discounts ran deeper than people expected.
Hmm.
Usually they're a little
Hmm.
more spread out. This time they were a little more concentrated, a little deeper discounts. And also, I think what's interesting here is three big categories that people spent on. Over half of Cyber Monday sales were driven by electronics, apparel, and furniture. And when you think about
Hmm.
electronics and furniture, those are two categories that, require some spending. It's not a sort of impulse buy necessarily. It's something that you're digging deeper into your wallet for. And so that maybe says people are really ready and willing to spend.
Do you think, and this is just me asking for your kind of gut reaction, do you think it's that people are like spendy or were they just holding off on those big purchases waiting for the big sales?
Hmm. Well, that is a good question because there's holiday gifting, right? There's
Yeah.
self-gifting.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's all this stuff that maybe you have been waiting to buy that are necessities or replacements. Groceries is even a
Mm-hmm.
category that came up to be a pretty decent spend category, which also says something. I think that we
Yeah.
really won't know until kind of like January when the season is over. But generally speaking, the earlier retailers get you to buy, the more you're going to spend, the longer
Hmm.
the season lasts for you.
You know, and you've reported on this a lot. There have been all these conflicting headlines about how consumers are actually feeling about the economy. And, then we have the fact that, as you just said, consumer spending broke records on Black Friday. How do you sort of balance those two things? People think the economy sucks, and yet they're still spending a lot in a way that you wouldn't expect if people were that nervous about the economy.
Yeah. Well, I think it's because the economy does truly suck for a lot of people.
Yes, it does.
And truly, because I know that,
Mm-hmm.
you talk about this on this show and listeners will hear this on marketplace shows all the time. We talk about the K-shaped economy and how lower income households really do feel the pain of every extra dollar, right? Way more than higher income households. And so for some people, a lot of people, the economy is does feel really terrible. For the people at the top, it it always feels terrible to spend more money. It's easier for them to absorb that cost. I think I've actually said this stat on this show before, but I just feel like it's so amazing I have to say it again, which is that remember that nearly half of retail spending comes from the top 10% of earners. And so, I mean, if you just think about those earners spending how much in our economy, um, it kind of makes
Well,
sense
and
that
especially
that
because
sentiment and money
those
would be so split.
earners, yeah, and especially because those earners make up such a large share of overall income and wealth in this economy. So then they have so much to spend and then they are spending more of it. And then there's stuff like
Hmm.
I finally got the YouTube chat going. Nancy Pattison says spending is retail therapy, a dopamine hit to try to cope with what's happening in the country. And I think yeah, that's right. A lot of people do use it as a little bit of retail therapy, to use a very overused cliche. All right, but unfortunately that's coming along with, for a lot of consumers, especially those at the sort of bottom end of that K, a lot more credit card debt. And I mean,
Yeah.
I know that we've got some data on that. What do you think of sort of the landscape for credit card debt and what that's telling us about the economy right now?
Well, and also buy now, pay later, right? That's
Oh
becoming
yeah.
a more popular tool to use during the holidays, during the whole year, and not just for special categories, but for everyday categories, groceries and other necessities, which is
Mm.
not a great sign. Um, this does tend to happen at this time of year. People tend to feel like maybe I can put extra on my card. I'll be really vigilant in the new year, and new year, new you. We'll hunker down when it's cold and dreary and we're done with the holidays and pay it off. And some of that payment does happen in the first quarter. I think it kind of says two things. Interestingly, I think it says one, like people really are struggling but want to still have this holiday season. Maybe that does have something to do with how tough the world feels. Right now is a time to come together with friends and family,
Yeah.
and you want to have a nice dinner. You want to get gifts for people that feels like such an uplifting place in the middle of where we are right
Yeah.
now. Another thing I was thinking
Yeah.
about, it could say something about how confident consumers do feel, despite what they say in a lot of surveys about the job market and the paycheck they might continue to get in January, February, March. I think if people felt like the people who are putting extra money down on credit cards who aren't just, it's not just out of necessity, maybe they think that they can pay it off later. It says that they might feel confident that they will have the paycheck to do so.
Yeah. And I mean, you're right about sort of giving and being sort of around family and friends and spending around the holidays can give people a little bit of a boost, and maybe they're willing to kind of push themselves more than they might otherwise around this time of year. But what other retail trends are you watching? What's sticking out to you as you're reporting this shopping season?
Yeah. Well, I have a couple, and I am going to answer your question with some questions for
Mm,
you. Which is,
I'm ready.
Kimberly, how do you feel about making large purchases on your cell phone?
This is going to age me so bad, and you hurt my feelings in advance because I know where this is going. I'm a millennial. I have to make a larger purchase on like a real like laptop or a computer or at best my like iPad. I can't do big purchases on my phone. I just can't do it.
Okay, I am the same, don't worry. That I always get that meme that's like Gen Z is out here buying plane tickets on their phone. Like that's a computer purchase. And that is how I like I'll buy like socks and like toiletries on my phone, but I will sit down and like I'm not going to
Although
buy a piece of furniture on my phone.
I feel like I got burned trying to step outside of my box, and because I wanted to buy a pair of earrings and I'd been thinking about them for a long time, and I waited for the sale, and I went ahead and bought these earrings on my phone, and it was a bigger purchase, and I bought them on my phone, and then they arrived and I realized they didn't look at all how I thought they were going to look because they were
Oh.
too small on my screen for me to see them properly. And so now I have to send them back and buy them again, buy the ones I actually wanted without the sale. And so I got burned from trying to buy a big purchase on my phone. So never again.
Oh man. Well, we are out of the ordinary, you and I think, because on Cyber Monday alone, nearly 58% of online sales happen through a mobile device. And we're talking about share of dollars, not transactions.
Mm-hmm.
So you could you could conclude that people are making bigger purchases on their phone and not necessarily going to their computer to buy those
Yeah.
bigger things. That is still not how I do it. Maybe I'll come around someday. So that was one interesting trend to me. And my other
Mm-hmm.
question to ask you
Okay.
about your shopping habits is,
Mm-hmm.
have you used AI chatbots to find a purchase?
I have not. Not as of yet. My nieces and nephews are very detailed with exactly what they want, so I generally don't need any help in terms of
Hmm.
figuring out what to get them.
That's good, right?
They give me lists.
Oh, lists, plural. Um,
Lists, plural.
yes. Well, the number of people actually using AI chatbots to buy holiday gifts, it's still pretty small. Like I was talking to a consultant today who told me it's still like less than 1%, but the transaction frequency is like it's like 8 times what it was a year ago, so it's only expected to
Mm-hmm.
grow. And so a lot of people are using, ChatGPT and these other tools to search for recommendations and do a lot of like price comparison shopping, comparing features, prices, trying to figure out how to get the best deal. And so that kind of way of shopping for the holidays is only expected to grow.
I'll be so interested to hear your take once the shopping season is done and we actually have full data and up-to-date government data on retail spending. But we'll have to check back in with you then. We are going to take a quick break, and when we come back, of course, we're going to play a game. All right, we are back, and Kristin and I are ready to play a retail-themed round of
Oh,
Half Full, Half Empty. Drew Jostad is here this week to host. Drew, take it away.
I am here, and I did recently buy a couch on my phone,
Did you
ooh.
really?
but it was kind of like the salesperson had to text me the link, and so I was like already on the phone. I don't know. That's what I.
I don't know if
That's my
that
story.
counts. I mean, it
Yeah,
counts technically, but
right. It still felt weird. All right, let's get going. We talked about this a little bit ago. Kristen brought this up, but buy now, pay later sales hit an all-time high on Cyber Monday, topping $1 billion for the first time. Are you half full or half empty on the boom in buy now, pay later?
too big size exhales.
I'm gonna let
I
you go first.
I mean, I feel my gut reaction is to feel half empty. Uh, I always feel a little worried about tools like these and um what they seem like on the surface and then what they really are and the kind of consequences that come with them. I also do, there is a tinge of me though that um not too long ago, I was actually I was watching old news reports for like a story I was thinking about doing about when credit cards became popular. And this newscaster went to Burger King where people were like using credit cards for the first time and interviewed people who were like, this is terrible. Like if you have to put a hamburger on a credit card, like you shouldn't be buying the hamburger. And I just think about how big of a shift we've had since then about how we look at different payment systems. And so, used responsibly, if say credit cards worry you or you don't have access to credit, buy now, pay later could be a useful tool, but I'm still feel a little nervous about it.
Yeah, I mean, somebody in the chat is pointing out that layaway used to be a thing. And, let's see, the Mr. Nice Guy and, sorry, no, Vav413 says empty unless you can use it to build credit. And I think I'm where you are. It's like I like the idea that for some people it's making things more accessible, that you can pay in installments, and but the data that we're seeing is that what's happening to a lot of the people who are most vulnerable in our economy is it's just being used to accumulate more debt.
Hmm.
And now that it's starting to be reported in people's credit reports and things like that, it's going to be potentially damaging to a lot of those folks. I'm going to have to say half empty just because I feel like the risks kind of outweigh the rewards at this point, but I also don't know that I think it should go away altogether. I don't know. Maybe I'm just half on that one. That's hard. What's the
Gray
next one,
area.
Drew?
Next up, are you half full or half empty on the Spotify Wrapped listening age?
Ooh. Oh, the listening age.
So, the listening age. I feel badly because I actually went to a Spotify event around the Wrapped release here in DC earlier this week, and everyone was like, "Oh, what does your Spotify Wrapped say? What is your Spotify age?" And I don't actually have a Spotify account,
Oh, you don't. How do
or
you
if
listen
I
to
mean I may
music?
have an account,
How
but
else?
like I don't actually like listen on Spotify, so there's nothing there. I use Apple Music, which
Okay.
is a whole other like political and market competition thing right there. But so I don't have a Spotify Wrapped this year, and I live in fear of what my Crunchyroll Wrapped is going to tell me when it comes out. But so I've been very entertained looking at people's Spotify Wrapped ages. I was in a source meeting yesterday with people who were my age and older who had much, much younger Spotify Wrapped ages, like in their 20s. What about you?
Oh, I feel like a lot of things, or what I'm seeing, are a lot of people have an older age than they are. And it's sort of like a little
Hmm.
flex. Like I listen to cool, like excellent music, and my average age is like people are really sharing like, oh, my age is, 30 years older than I am, 20 years older than I am. And it's like because I'm sophisticated. Um, I I I tend to think that the Spotify Wrapped thing is like a little annoying, but I also it's not that serious, so I'm half full. I think it's like, why not
Yeah.
share something fun? My Spotify Wrapped age is 45. I am
Which is
36.
older than you are. A lot older
Yeah,
than you are.
it's because of like the Mariah Carey 90s stuff. That's
Ah.
in there, balanced out with some younger things, but yeah, I think it's fun.
Yeah.
Why not?
I think it's fun too. I'll say half full. Debbie Donovan says, just got mine. My age was 70, but I'm 58. Neon X Firefly says, I'm 40, but my listening age is 21. I think this is a lot of fun. So I'm not mad at it. But all right, what's the last one? Or is this the last one, Drew?
We got two more.
We got two more. Let's go.
Okay. 82% of Americans in a recent poll conducted by eBay said they are more likely than they were last year to buy a gift secondhand this year. Are you half full or half empty?
I'm all the way full on this. I'm very much in favor of secondhand gifts and have received secondhand gifts. Very happy with them, especially if you like know the person well. You
Hmm.
can really find them something cool, whether it be vintage or whether it just be gently used from a brand or a designer that they love. So yeah, all the way full on secondhand gifts.
Yeah, I'm full. I mean, I think you have to know your audience, so some people are
Mm-hmm.
not into it. And so you have to be gifting it to somebody who appreciates that, or, it's a unique find. Um, you know, a coffee cup that you've been with a special something on it that you just can't get anywhere else
Mm-hmm.
or something like that. But yeah, I mean, why the world, the earth is full of stuff. So if there's a place
Yes,
to
so much stuff.
not make new stuff and recycle old stuff, cheers
Indeed,
to that.
indeed.
I do wonder if the people that eBay is asking, since they're on eBay already, they're probably like more pro
Yeah, there's some
secondhand
there's
stuff.
some selection bias there happening, and obviously, as somebody pointed out in the chat, eBay has a incentive to have this narrative, but is what it is. All right, I guess we're ready for the poll now.
Yes.
All right, everybody in the chat, get ready.
All right. I'm going to list off some new AI powered shopping features being introduced by Target. The Gift Finder is a chatbot that helps you brainstorm gift ideas. The List Scanner can scan handwritten shopping lists and easily add items to your cart. Are you half full or half empty on AI assisted shopping at Target?
Well, let's see. What do you think, Kristen?
Well, I feel like we've both unfortunately already admitted that we don't really use these tools
Yes.
um, based on our retail discussion. I could see myself, you know, um, for instance, if I was not told what my young niece wants, and I had to, I feel so disconnected from what young children are looking for and into right now, unless it's like a Labubu or something. Um,
Hmm.
I could see myself using some of these features to help brainstorm for somebody I'm unsure of. If they're into this, what's a good thing that goes with it, that pairs with it?
Mm-hmm.
Something like that. That makes a lot of sense to me.
But that feels like services we've already had, like, oh, if you like this, you're going to like this. And, a lot of folks are pointing out the boycotting of Target. And so there's that part of it, which is a real thing that a lot of people are doing. Other folks are pointing out that this is more data collection. Okay, 82% are half empty on Target's
Oh,
new AI powered shopping features, only 18% half full. I'm gonna just until we resolve the energy issues
Yeah.
around AI, I'm gonna be pretty much half empty on most deployments of AI unless they have a real value add for humanity. And I don't think this is one of them.
Yeah. I guess if I have to choose, it's hard to have to choose because, it's coming no matter what. Like this is how
Mm-hmm.
we're going to shop and this is how we're going to, be given suggestions and interact with retailers. It really is
Yeah.
coming no matter what. But yeah, I would err on the side of half empty. I agree.
Yeah, and I feel like it's already here. I mean, like, un to my great chagrin, Instagram knows exactly how to sell me things now, and like to an uncanny accuracy. And I'm just like, man, they got me. And no matter what kind of privacy settings I put on, they show me something. I'm like, yeah, I'd buy it if I were buying stuff right now. But
Yeah. I
here
will
we
say
are.
that if
Here we are.
if you don't want it to come, you don't use the service, right?
Yeah,
So you
yeah.
you have to you have to be willing to click, to interact, to give your personal data for this stuff to
Yep,
happen. I know
this is
we're
true.
only individual people, but if enough people decide that, you know, they don't like it, then
This is
maybe it'll
exactly
slow
what
things
Bailey
down.
said. They won't know if you don't use Instagram. Absolutely. This is very true.
It's the
But,
ultimate test,
we
but you will be
gotta,
there
it
anyways.
is. All right. I think that's it for the game. Thank you, everyone, for playing. But before we go, to those of you who donated to Marketplace on Giving Tuesday, we just want to say thank you so, so much. Really appreciate it.
Yeah. Your Giving Tuesday support made a huge impact at a moment when funding for public media has been cut nationwide. And your support keeps us at Marketplace independent and also accessible to everybody,
Even on Instagram.
even on
And if you
Instagram.
didn't get a chance to donate, it is always a great time to contribute if you're able. We always appreciate it. And you can become what we call a marketplace investor because, we got to have fun branding around it. You can go to marketplace.org/givesmart or follow the link in our show notes. We'd really appreciate any support you can give. And Kristin, thank you for coming back on the show.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I have always wanted to play half full, half empty, so I'm just really glad that I
And
got to play the game.
and you have, and it was retail themed. It's exactly your wheelhouse. You did a great job. We're going to be back next week. In the meantime, as the year winds down, we really want to hear from you all. Your thoughts on what were the biggest economic stories in 2025 in your view? How did you feel about the economy this year? What are you looking forward to in 2026? You can email us at makemesmart@marketplace.org. You can leave us a voicemail at 508-UB-SMART. But regardless, have a great weekend, everybody. Make Me Smart is produced by Courtney Bergseeker with the help of Nick Geong this week. Today's episode was engineered by Charlton Thorpe, and the team behind our YouTube live stream is Emily McCune and Antoinette Brock. Our interim supervisory senior producer is Stephanie Seek. Nancy Fargali is executive producer of Marketplace Shows, and Joanne Griffith is our chief content officer. We were like swaying.